Welcome back, coin hunters and collectors. Today, we're searching through American coin history for 5 rare Lincoln Wheat pennies that could be worth serious money in the collector market. These famous United States 1-cent coins may look ordinary at first, but certain dates, mint marks, varieties, errors, and high-quality examples can attract strong attention from collectors. So before you spend that old wheat penny, don't ignore it. Check the date, look carefully for the mint mark, examine the details, and compare the coin with known valuable examples. In this video, we'll explore 5 wheat pennies, their history, special features, rarity, collector demand, and current market value potential. Stay with us until the end, because the final coin could be one of the most interesting pieces in today's search for valuable Lincoln cents. Let's get started. First up, the 1917 Lincoln Wheat penny with no mint mark is exactly the kind of old United States coin that can attract serious attention from collectors, especially when the piece has strong details, attractive surfaces, unusual color, or an exceptionally high grade. Struck at the Philadelphia Mint, the 1917 Lincoln cent had a reported mintage of 196,429,785 pieces, and because Philadelphia coins carried no mint mark, the absence of a letter beneath the date is completely normal for this issue. What makes this coin fascinating today is not simply the fact that it is old, but the combination of its early Lincoln design, historic age, classic wheat reverse, and the possibility of finding an exceptionally preserved example. For collectors building early Lincoln cent collections, a genuine 1917 example represents an important piece from the formative years of the series, and high-grade examples can move far beyond ordinary 1-cent values. The history behind the 1917 Lincoln Wheat penny makes it even more exciting. The Lincoln cent had been introduced only a few years earlier, in 1909, and by 1917, the design by Victor David Brenner had already become one of the most recognizable coin designs in American history. The obverse features Abraham Lincoln facing right, while the reverse displays the famous pair of wheat ears surrounding the denomination and inscriptions. The coin was made from a bronze composition of approximately 95% copper with tin and zinc, measured about 19 millimeters across, and weighed about 3.11 grams. This places the 1917 penny firmly inside the classic early wheat cent era that collectors continue to pursue today. The year 1917 also belongs to a fascinating period in American history, making every surviving example a small physical connection to the nation more than 100 years ago. Holding one today means holding a coin that circulated during an era when the United States was undergoing enormous economic and historical changes. One of the most important features to understand is the missing mint mark. When collectors see a 1917 Lincoln Wheat penny without a letter below the date, they should not automatically assume something is wrong with the coin. For this particular issue, no mint mark indicates production at Philadelphia, so the blank area is an authentic and expected characteristic. The Philadelphia issue is catalogued as the 1917 Lincoln cent, and its large production total makes the date obtainable in circulated grades, but the real collecting excitement begins when condition, color, strike quality, and exceptional preservation enter the picture. Collectors carefully examine Lincoln's portrait, the date, the lettering, the wheat ears, the rims, and the overall surfaces. A sharply detailed coin with attractive original color and minimal marks can become much more desirable than an ordinary heavily circulated example. This is why 2 coins carrying exactly the same 1917 date can have dramatically different market values. Condition is one of the biggest factors that can transform the 1917 Philadelphia Lincoln cent from an inexpensive collectible into a valuable certified coin. A heavily circulated example may have significant wear, while a very fine or extremely fine example can show much stronger detail across Lincoln's portrait and the wheat reverse. As the coin approaches about uncirculated and mint state grades, collectors become increasingly interested in remaining luster, sharpness, surface quality, color, and eye appeal. Current published auction information demonstrates how dramatically the market can reward superior preservation. NGC's auction records show a 1917 cent selling for $1,320 in XF45 in a 2023 Heritage auction sale, while a 2026 MS66 red example brought $4,026. These results show why an old penny should never be judged only by its face value. The grade and preservation can make an enormous difference, particularly when a coin reaches the upper levels of certified quality. The highest quality 1917 examples are where the story becomes especially impressive. PCGS auction records document a 1917 Lincoln cent graded M-66 red selling for $1,200 in 2020, while another M-67 plus red example sold for $7,200 in 2020. Even more remarkably, the PCGS record for that M-67 plus red coin shows a later Heritage Auctions appearance in January 2025 at $21,600, demonstrating the extraordinary prices that can be reached by exceptional certified specimens. These are not ordinary circulated pennies. They represent the elite end of the market where grade, color, certification, eye appeal, and scarcity at that grade combine to create major collector demand. This is exactly why the 1917 no-mint mark Lincoln Wheat Penny remains an exciting coin to investigate. A common-looking date can become a serious numismatic prize when an unusually high-quality survivor is discovered. Another fascinating opportunity comes from varieties connected with the 1917 issue. The famous 1917 doubled die obverse, catalogued as F-101, is a major variety that collectors actively seek. This variety can show noticeable doubling in areas including the date and lettering, and certified examples can command substantial premiums over ordinary 1917 cents. PCGS records show an M-66 red 1917 double die obverse selling for $21,600 in 2022, while the listed PCGS price guide value for that particular certified category was $32,500 at the time of the source record. Recent graysheet auction information also shows lower-grade examples of the F-101 variety, bringing hundreds to thousands of dollars depending on grade. This makes close examination especially interesting for collectors. If someone discovers a 1917 penny with unusual doubling around the date or lettering, it may deserve professional examination rather than being treated as an ordinary old cent. So what could a 1917 Lincoln Wheat Penny with no mint mark be worth in today's market? The answer depends heavily on the exact grade, color designation, variety, certification, and individual coin quality. Published 2026 market and auction information shows circulated examples can sell for amounts around the tens or hundreds of dollars in stronger grades, while certified mint state examples can move into the hundreds and thousands. For example, NGC's recent auction data includes a good 6 example at $114, an MS64 red-brown example at $94, an MS65 red example at $475.80, and an MS66 red example at $4,026. At the very top of the market, exceptional certified pieces have reached several $1,000s and even 5-figure auction results. The important point for viewers is that the phrase 1917 penny alone does not determine the value. The exact condition and characteristics of the individual coin are what create the difference between a modest collectible and a potentially major numismatic prize. For anyone checking an old 1917 Lincoln Wheat Penny today, this is a coin worth examining carefully from both sides under good lighting. Look closely at Lincoln's portrait, the date, the lettering, the wheat stalks, the rims, and the overall surfaces. Pay special attention to unusual doubling, strong original detail, attractive red or red-brown coloration, and signs that the coin may have avoided heavy circulation. If the coin appears especially sharp or unusual, professional authentication and grading can help establish its true condition and market position. The 1917 Philadelphia Lincoln Wheat Penny is more than an old 1-cent piece. It is a survivor from the earliest decades of the Lincoln cent series, and a coin with a documented ability to attract serious collector money when exceptional quality or a recognized variety is involved. With auction results reaching from hundreds of dollars into the thousands and exceptional examples reaching far higher, the next 1917 penny you encounter could be worth far more as a collectible than its original 1-cent denomination suggests. Next up, the 1929 Lincoln Wheat Penny was struck at the Philadelphia Mint, which means the absence of a mint mark is completely normal for this issue. More than 185 million examples were produced in Philadelphia that year, making it a major part of the classic wheat cent series. But the real excitement begins when collectors examine an individual coin for its date, original details, surface quality, color, strike, and overall preservation. Even when a coin looks very rough from decades of circulation, it can still be an important collectible because every surviving example carries nearly a century of American history. For collectors, the 1929 date represents the closing years of the 1920s and the remarkable transition into the Great Depression era, giving this humble penny a historical story far greater than its 1-cent denomination suggests. The 1929 Lincoln Wheat Penny belongs to the famous Lincoln Cent series designed by Victor David Brenner. The obverse features Abraham Lincoln facing right, while the reverse displays the iconic pair of wheat ears surrounding the words 1 cent and United States of America. The coin was made from the traditional bronze composition of approximately 95% copper and 5% tin and zinc, with a diameter of about 19 millimeters and a weight of approximately 3.11 grams. One of the most interesting details for today's collector is the mint mark area beneath the date. On a Philadelphia 1929 penny, that space is blank because Philadelphia cents did not receive a mint mark. So when you see a 1929 penny with no letter beneath the date, that does not automatically mean something is missing or wrong. It identifies the coin as the Philadelphia issue. This simple detail is one of the first things collectors check, and it helps establish exactly which version of the 1929 Lincoln Wheat Cent they are looking at. Now let's talk about why condition can make such a dramatic difference in the collector market. A very rough or heavily circulated 1929 penny has clearly experienced a long journey. Its surfaces may show wear, dark coloration, scratches, or reduced design detail, but those signs also tell a story of how the coin survived through generations. The date 1929 remains especially important because collectors building complete Lincoln Wheat Cent collections need examples from individual years and mint locations. Professional grading becomes increasingly important as condition improves because certified grades can separate ordinary circulated pieces from exceptional survivors. PCG's Historical Guide, for example, lists the 1929 Philadelphia cent at modest values in good through extra fine grades, but considerably higher levels for uncirculated examples. This is where the excitement of coin collecting comes from. Two coins carrying exactly the same date and denomination can have dramatically different market appeal because one may have substantially better preservation, stronger details, or an exceptional color designation. When collectors look closely at a 1929 no-mint mark wheat penny, they are not simply looking for the date. They are examining the strength of Lincoln's portrait, the lettering, the wheat stalks on the reverse, the rims, the surfaces, and the overall originality of the coin. Particular attention can be given to the word liberty, the inscriptions in God We Trust and United States of America, and the wheat ears that define this classic reverse design. On an older, heavily circulated example, some of these details may be softened, yet the coin can remain desirable as an authentic piece of the classic wheat cent era. Collectors also pay attention to color, because copper-based Lincoln cents can be described by designations such as brown, red-brown, or red, when their preservation and original coloration support those classifications. At the highest grades, original red color can become especially important, and this is one reason exceptional 1929 examples can reach much higher prices than ordinary circulated pieces. The market story of the 1929 Philadelphia wheat penny is particularly interesting because today's reference values show a broad range depending on grade. Current guides list ordinary examples around the lower end of the market, while uncirculated pieces can move into higher dollar territory. USA Coin Books February 2026 valuation data lists approximately $0.30 for good, $0.36 for very good, $0.43 for fine, $0.93 for very fine, $3.62 for extremely fine, $6.25 for about uncirculated, and around $10 to $18 for the listed uncirculated grades. PCG's broader Lincoln Cent Guide similarly shows the 1929 Philadelphia issue beginning at modest levels in circulated grades and rising for uncirculated coins. This makes the coin especially interesting for viewers because it demonstrates an important rule of numismatics. The date alone does not determine the final selling price. Grade, color, originality, eye appeal, certification, and the exact characteristics of the individual coin all influence what collectors may be willing to pay. And this is where the phrase, big value, needs to be understood in the collector sense. A normal, heavily worn 1929 no-mint mark penny should not automatically be presented as a hundreds or thousands of dollars coin. The extraordinary dollar amounts associated with 1929 Lincoln cents are generally connected with exceptional condition, high certified grades, strong original color, or other unusual characteristics rather than a typical rough example. Some market guides show the 1929 cent reaching much higher levels in elite grades, demonstrating how powerful condition rarity can become. For a collector searching an old coin jar, estate collection, inherited group, or box of wheat pennies, this creates an exciting reason to inspect the coin carefully rather than judging it only by appearance. A rough coin may be a wonderful historical collectible, while a surprisingly well-preserved example from the same year can enter a completely different segment of the numismatic market. There is also a powerful historical story behind this little coin. The 1929 Lincoln Wheat Penny was produced during a period of enormous economic change in the United States. PCGS notes that production of the 1929 Lincoln Wheat Cent reached 185,262,000 pieces at Philadelphia, with the mint producing coins in response to strong demand during the era. Within the following months, the American economy would experience the stock market crash of October 1929 and enter the difficult years of the Great Depression. That means a 1929 penny can serve as a tangible connection to the final months of the Roaring Twenties and the beginning of one of the most important economic chapters in American history. Nearly a century later, collectors continue searching for these coins, studying their surfaces, comparing grades, and preserving them as pieces of America's monetary past. The combination of age, historical significance, classic Lincoln design, and collector demand gives the 1929 wheat penny a special place in the hobby. So if you have a 1929 Lincoln Wheat Penny with no mint mark, especially one that looks extremely old and worn, don't overlook it. First confirm the date, then check the blank area beneath the date, examine the details on both sides, and look carefully at the coin's surfaces and remaining design. Remember that the Philadelphia issue had no mint mark by design, and more than 185 million were struck there in 1929. The strongest potential for substantial premiums comes from unusually well-preserved, high-grade, attractive, certified examples rather than ordinary rough pieces. The current market therefore ranges from modest collector values for circulated coins into substantially higher values for exceptional specimens, with the most dramatic prices reserved for coins that stand out because of grade and quality. That is what makes the hunt so exciting. A 1-cent coin from 1929 can look like an ordinary piece of old copper at first glance, yet careful examination can reveal a historically important collectible worthy of a place in a serious Lincoln cent collection. Always remember that market values change with grade, certification, color designation, surface condition, varieties, authenticity, and actual auction results, so these figures should be treated as reference market information rather than a guarantee of what every 1929 penny will sell for. The real treasure is discovering exactly what you have, and that is why every old wheat penny deserves a closer look next up. The 1944 issue carries an important place in American numismatic history because it was produced during the final years of World War II, when the United States Mint was working under extraordinary wartime conditions. The 1944 Philadelphia Lincoln Wheat Cent has no mint mark because it was struck at the Philadelphia Mint, and more than 1.435 billion were produced that year. It was made from the traditional bronze alloy of approximately 95% copper with tin and zinc, after the United States returned to bronze cent production following the 1943 steel cent experiment. That combination of wartime history, the famous Lincoln design, the wheat reverse, and the possibility of exceptional varieties or unusual examples makes this coin an exciting target for collectors. When a collector sees a genuine 1944 no-mint mark cent with attractive surfaces, strong details, and impressive preservation, the coin can immediately become much more interesting than its 1-cent face value suggests. The story of the 1944 Lincoln Wheat Penny begins with the dramatic changes of the early 1940s. In 1943, the United States Mint produced steel cents because copper was critically important for the war effort, but the following year the mint returned to a copper-based alloy for Lincoln cents. PCGS records that production of the bronze alloy began on New Year's Day in 1944, creating the familiar copper-colored 1944 wheat cent that collectors recognize today. The 1944 Philadelphia issue became especially significant because its reported mintage of 1,435,400,000 was the first time a United States cent production crossed the 1 billion coin mark. The reverse displays the classic pair of wheat ears surrounding the words 1 cent and United States of America, while the obverse carries Victor David Brenner's portrait of Abraham Lincoln. Every detail connects this tiny coin to a major chapter of American history, making it a fascinating collectible even before considering its condition or potential varieties. One of the most important features to examine on a 1944 Lincoln Wheat Penny is the absence of a mint mark. On this particular issue, no mint mark is exactly what collectors expect from a Philadelphia-struck example. The 1944 Philadelphia cent can be distinguished from the Denver and San Francisco issues by checking the area beneath the date. Where a Denver coin would carry a D and a San Francisco coin would carry an S, the Philadelphia example has no letter there. The coin measures approximately 19 millimeters across and weighs about 3.11 grams, with a plain edge and the traditional bronze composition. Collectors also pay close attention to the color and preservation of the copper surfaces. A brown example can still be historically important, while a red-brown or especially attractive red example can receive considerably more attention when the surfaces, strike, and grade are strong. That is why the small details on a 1944 penny can make such a major difference when collectors compare individual coins. Now comes the part that makes this date especially exciting for treasure hunters: the condition of the individual coin. A 1944 no-mint mark wheat penny in very fine condition can show substantial remaining design detail, including a recognizable Lincoln portrait, readable lettering, and clearly visible portions of the wheat ears on the reverse. In the standard market, a circulated 1944 Philadelphia cent is not automatically a hundreds or thousands of dollars coin. Current reference data places ordinary VF examples at only a small premium over face value. However, that does not make the coin unimportant. The real collector excitement comes from identifying pieces with exceptional characteristics, unusual varieties, dramatic errors, superior preservation, or other features that separate them from ordinary examples. This is where careful examination becomes essential. A collector who simply sees an old copper penny may overlook something that another collector recognizes as an important variety or error. The market story becomes much more impressive as preservation moves into the highest certified grades. PCGS currently records an auction record of $24,400 for a 1944 Lincoln cent graded MS68RD, with that result recorded in January 2026 at Heritage Auctions. This is an excellent example of how dramatically the market can change when an otherwise common date survives in an extraordinary state of preservation. At more ordinary mint state levels, prices can be far more modest, but coins with exceptional red color, superior surfaces, outstanding strike quality, and elite certification can attract strong competition. For a YouTube collector audience, this is one of the most important lessons from the 1944 wheat penny. The date alone does not create a huge value. The combination of date, mint, condition, color, variety, error status, eye appeal, authenticity, and professional grade determines whether a particular example remains a normal collectible or enters the higher value segment of the market. Another reason the 1944 wheat penny remains fascinating is its connection to the famous wartime steel cent story. The 1943 cents were primarily steel, while the regular 1944 cents returned to a bronze composition. PCGS lists a distinct 1944 steel variety, alongside the regular brown, red-brown, and red 1944 cents. This is why collectors should never judge a coin simply by its date or by a quick glance at its color. A genuine unusual composition or recognized error can transform the numismatic importance of a coin, but such claims require careful authentication, because altered, plated, damaged, or chemically treated coins can sometimes look unusual without being genuine mint errors. For anyone examining a 1944 no-mint mark wheat penny, the best approach is to study the weight, appearance, surfaces, strike, and overall characteristics carefully, and compare them with trusted numismatic references. When a coin appears genuinely unusual, professional authentication and grading can become extremely valuable because documentation gives buyers and auction bidders confidence. The collector demand for the 1944 Lincoln Wheat Penny comes from several directions at once. Lincoln cent collectors need the date for their wheat cent collections, history enthusiasts appreciate its World War II connection, and advanced collectors search for exceptional condition examples and recognized varieties. Although the Philadelphia 1944 cent had an enormous original mintage, PCGS notes that the strongest market opportunity for this date is concentrated in high-grade specimens, especially superb examples at MS67 and above. That creates an exciting situation for collectors because the hunt does not necessarily end when a 1944 penny is found. The next question becomes, How well was it preserved? How strong are the details? What is the original color? Are the surfaces attractive? Is there an unusual die characteristic or legitimate mint error? Could the coin qualify for a much higher certified grade than expected? Those questions are exactly what make coin hunting so addictive, because every old wheat penny offers the possibility of a closer inspection, revealing something special. So if you have a 1944 Lincoln Wheat Penny with no mint mark, do not rush past it simply because the date is common. Take a close look at the date, the area beneath the date, Lincoln's portrait, the lettering, the wheat ears, the edge, the color, and the overall preservation. A normal circulated example may have only modest market value, but an exceptionally preserved certified example can reach hundreds, thousands, or even much higher levels, as demonstrated by the documented $24,400 MS68RD auction result. The most exciting part is that valuable coins are not identified by dramatic appearance alone. They are identified by genuine numismatic characteristics that can be verified. If your 1944 no mint mark wheat penny looks unusually sharp, colorful, cleanly struck, or different from ordinary examples, it may deserve a closer professional evaluation. That tiny 1-cent piece can carry an extraordinary piece of American history, and in the world of coin collecting, the combination of history, condition, rarity, and verified uniqueness is what can turn an ordinary-looking old penny into a truly desirable collectible. Important value note for viewers: market prices can change depending on grade, certification, color designation, surface quality, variety, error status, authenticity, eye appeal, and actual auction results. A standard circulated 1944 no mint mark Lincoln Wheat Penny should not automatically be advertised as worth hundreds or thousands of dollars. The highest prices generally belong to exceptional, certified, high-grade, or genuinely unusual examples. The documented 1944 MS68RD auction result shows the potential at the extreme high end, while ordinary circulated pieces remain much more affordable. Always compare your coin with reliable grading standards and current market results before deciding what it may be worth. But if you have a beautiful 1944 Lincoln Wheat Penny with no mint mark, especially one showing remarkable preservation or a legitimate unusual feature, you may have found one of the most fascinating little pieces of World War II-era American history hiding in plain sight. Next up, the 1945 Lincoln Wheat Penny with no mint mark is one of those historic United States coins that immediately captures the attention of collectors because it comes from one of the most important periods in American history. Struck at the Philadelphia Mint, this 1-cent coin carries no mint mark, which is completely normal for Philadelphia issues of the era. More than 1.04 billion 1945 cents were struck at Philadelphia, making this an important and widely collected date in the Lincoln Wheat Cent series. But the real excitement begins when collectors examine an individual coin closely, because age, preservation, color, sharpness of detail, unusual die characteristics, and professional certification can make one example far more interesting than another. A 1945 penny that has spent decades in circulation may show heavy dust, dark toning, surface marks, and wear, yet its connection to the final year of World War II gives it tremendous historical character. For collectors, this is not simply an old penny, it is a small surviving piece of the 1945 American story. The history behind this coin makes it especially fascinating. The Lincoln cent was designed by Victor David Brenner, with Abraham Lincoln appearing on the obverse, and the famous wheat ears surrounding the words 1 cent and United States of America on the reverse. The 1945 issue was produced while the United States was still fighting World War II, and the country was moving through one of the most dramatic periods of the 20th century. The 1945 Lincoln Wheat Penny belongs to the bronze composition era, using approximately 95% copper with tin and zinc, weighing about 3.11 grams and measuring roughly 19 millimeters across. That combination of history, traditional design, and wartime-era production gives this penny an appeal that goes far beyond its original 1-cent denomination. When you hold a 1945 Lincoln Wheat Penny today, you are holding an object produced during the closing chapter of World War II, making its historical story one of the strongest reasons collectors continue searching for these coins. One of the most important features to understand is the missing mint mark. On a 1945 Philadelphia Lincoln Wheat Penny, there is no letter underneath the date because Philadelphia did not place a mint mark on its cents. Coins from Denver carry a D, while San Francisco coins carry an S, so a genuine 1945 penny without a mint mark represents the Philadelphia issue. Collectors should therefore never assume that the absence of a mint mark automatically means an error or an extremely rare coin. Instead, the excitement comes from identifying exactly which Philadelphia issue you have, and then studying its condition, color, strike, surfaces, and any legitimate variety or error characteristics. PCGS lists recognized 1945 Philadelphia varieties, including brown, and red examples, as well as die varieties such as a double die obverse. These details are where the serious collector interest becomes much stronger, because a seemingly ordinary 1945 penny can become considerably more desirable when it possesses an exceptional combination of preservation and recognized variety characteristics. Now let us talk about condition, because this is where the value story becomes particularly interesting. A very dusty 1945 penny may initially look unattractive, but dust and old surface residue do not tell the entire story of a coin's collectible potential. Under careful examination, collectors look for the remaining details of Lincoln's portrait, the sharpness of the lettering, the wheat ears on the reverse, the condition of the fields, the amount of wear, and whether the surfaces have been damaged or altered. A coin with strong original details can attract attention even when it has an aged appearance. However, the most dramatic premiums in the 1945 Philadelphia issue are associated with high-grade, well-preserved examples rather than ordinary heavily circulated pieces. Current reference information shows ordinary examples can be worth only modest amounts, while exceptional certified pieces can move into much higher price territory. This is why collectors carefully inspect old pennies before dismissing them. The difference between an ordinary example and an exceptional example can be enormous in the world of numismatics. The market value of a 1945 Lincoln Wheat Penny without a mint mark depends heavily on its actual grade and special characteristics. Current guide information places typical circulated examples at relatively low values, while uncirculated examples can bring substantially more. USA Coin Book currently lists reference values from around 6 cents in fine condition through about $2.50 in M-63 for a standard 1945 Philadelphia cent, while other market references show much higher figures for exceptionally preserved grades and special examples. PCGS records an auction result of $1,000 for a 1945 Philadelphia cent, demonstrating how a certified example can attract a much stronger price than an ordinary circulated coin. Some online value references also report very high prices for exceptional 1945 cents, but these should be understood as specialized high-grade or variety examples rather than a normal dusty circulated penny. The important message for viewers is that the 1945 date deserves examination because condition, certification, color designation and varieties can dramatically change the market level. The collector demand surrounding this coin also comes from its place in the complete Lincoln Wheat Cent series. Many collectors want to assemble a full date and mint collection, beginning with the earliest Lincoln cents and continuing through the final wheat reverse issues of 1958. Because 1945 belongs to the wartime period, it fits naturally into collections focused on World War II coinage, Lincoln cents, American history, and 20th century circulation coins. The no mint mark Philadelphia issue also provides an important representation of the enormous production effort required during the war years. Even though its original mintage was large, collectors still search for attractive surviving examples because condition becomes increasingly important as coins age. PCGS estimates roughly 104 million examples survive across all grades, with far fewer surviving in very high grades, illustrating why superior condition specimens can receive much more attention than ordinary examples. This creates an exciting opportunity for collectors examining old accumulations, inherited collections, jars of pennies, and boxes of vintage coins. For anyone who discovers a dusty 1945 Lincoln Wheat Penny, the smartest approach is to examine it carefully rather than immediately judging it by appearance. Look closely at the date, confirm that the reverse has no mint mark, inspect Lincoln's portrait, study the wheat ears, and look for unusual doubling or other legitimate die characteristics. Do not aggressively clean or polish the coin, because original surfaces are extremely important to collectors and cleaning can significantly affect desirability. If the coin appears unusually sharp, well-preserved, or potentially exhibits a recognized variety, professional authentication and grading may be worth considering. A high-grade certified example can be dramatically different in market value from a common circulated example. The strongest prices are reserved for coins that combine rarity, condition, eye appeal, recognized varieties, and trustworthy certification. That is why the discovery of an old 1945 penny can become such an exciting collecting moment. The coin may look ordinary at first glance, but careful examination can reveal details that deserve a much closer look. And finally, the 1945 Lincoln Wheat Penny without a mint mark deserves attention, because it combines American history, classic design, wartime production, and the possibility of significant collector premiums in exceptional grades. Its standard market value is not automatically hundreds or thousands of dollars simply because it is old or dusty, but the upper end of the market demonstrates how dramatically value can rise for rare varieties and outstanding certified specimens. For a YouTube audience, this is what makes the hunt so exciting. Every old wheat penny deserves a second look before it is placed back into a jar or spent as ordinary change. A 1945 date, a Philadelphia no-mint mark origin, strong remaining detail, an attractive original surface, and especially a recognized variety can turn a simple 1-cent coin into a serious numismatic discovery. So if you have a 1945 Lincoln Wheat Penny sitting in an old collection, do not overlook it. Examine both sides carefully, preserve it safely, and if it shows exceptional characteristics, consider having it professionally evaluated. The world of collectible coins is built around these small details, and sometimes the most interesting discoveries begin with nothing more than an old penny that someone decided to look at one more time. Important value note. Market prices can change according to grade, certification, color designation, surface quality, variety, authenticity, eye appeal, and actual auction results. The dollar figures discussed here are reference market examples, not a guarantee that every 1945 Philadelphia Lincoln Wheat Penny will sell for hundreds or thousands of dollars. The strongest prices generally apply to exceptional, certified, high-grade, or otherwise special examples. The 1950-60 Lincoln Wheat Penny is one of those classic American coins that can instantly capture the attention of collectors when a well-preserved example appears. Struck at the Denver Mint in 1956, this 1-cent coin carries the famous portrait of Abraham Lincoln on the obverse and the iconic wheat ears design on the reverse. The 1950-60 issue had a very large mintage of 1,098,201,100 pieces, making its survival into the modern era an important part of its story. Yet coin collecting is not simply about how many pieces were originally produced. Today, collectors pay close attention to condition, color, strike quality, surface preservation, mint mark varieties, and the overall visual appeal of an individual coin. PCGS records the 1950-60 Lincoln cent as a 19mm, 3.11-gram coin made from 95% copper and a small percentage of tin and zinc. That combination of historic design, age, copper composition, and collector interest makes the 1950-60 wheat penny an exciting coin to examine, especially when an example appears in very good condition. The history behind this penny makes it even more interesting. The Lincoln cent was designed by Victor David Brenner and first introduced in 1909, becoming one of the most recognizable coin designs in United States history. By 1956, the wheat reverse design had already been in production for almost 5 decades, and the 1950-60 became one of the final years of the original wheat penny series before the Lincoln Memorial reverse replaced it in 1959. The Denver Mint placed the small D mint mark on the obverse beneath the date, identifying the coin as a Denver production. For collectors today, that little letter is an important part of the coin's identity because it separates the 1950-60 from the Philadelphia and San Francisco issues of the same era. The reverse features 2 wheat ears surrounding the words 1 cent and United States of America, with EPLURBUSUNUM above. These details give the coin its unmistakable wheat penny appearance and connect it directly to an important chapter in American coinage history. One of the most exciting aspects of the 1950-60 is that collectors do not look at every example in exactly the same way. A normal circulated coin can be interesting because of its age and historical design, but a sharply preserved example can attract much more attention. Collectors examine Lincoln's hair and facial details, the lettering, the date, the D mint mark, the wheat stalks, and the overall sharpness of the strike. They also look closely at the coin's color designation. Copper Lincoln cents can appear brown, red-brown, or red, depending on how much of their original color remains, and this can make a major difference in the desirability of high-grade examples. A beautifully preserved red 1950-60 with strong details and attractive surfaces can stand out dramatically from an ordinary circulated piece. PCGS lists separate brown, and red classifications for this issue, demonstrating how important color and preservation can be in the upper grades. The real excitement begins when the discussion moves toward high-grade and exceptional examples. Although the 1956 D was produced in enormous numbers, surviving coins in extraordinary condition are a completely different story. PCGS estimates millions of surviving examples overall, but the population becomes much smaller at the highest grades. For the brown designation, PCGS estimates roughly 12,000 surviving examples at MS60 or better, and about 6,000 at MS65 or better. The finest grades become increasingly difficult to locate, and registry set collectors compete for coins that combine exceptional grade, color, strike, and eye appeal. This is exactly why a seemingly ordinary old penny can become much more interesting after careful examination. The coin does not need to be famous for a spectacular error to attract attention. Sometimes the combination of exceptional preservation and a top certified grade is enough to make collectors take notice. Another fascinating part of the 1950-60 story is the existence of recognized repunch mintmark varieties. Collectors who examine the D closely may encounter varieties involving the mint mark, including F-501, F-502, and F-508 varieties documented in major numismatic references. These varieties are especially exciting because they add another layer to the search. Instead of simply asking whether a coin is a 1950-60 D, experienced collectors may ask whether the mint mark shows evidence of being punched more than once or whether the coin matches a recognized variety. A small detail near the mint mark can therefore turn a routine examination into a much more serious numismatic investigation. For anyone searching through an old collection, inherited coins, rolls, jars, or accumulated wheat pennies, the 1950-60 D deserves a careful look under good lighting and magnification. When it comes to market value, the most important point is that the 1950-60 D does have a wide range depending on grade, color, variety, certification, and actual buyer demand. A typical circulated example is generally not a $1,000 coin simply because it carries the 1950-60 D date and Denver mint mark. However, the upper end of the market can become dramatically more impressive when an example reaches exceptional certified grades. PCGS reports an auction record of $900 for a PCGS genuine example in 2020 for the regular issue, while a brown example has a recorded $900, a U58 result from Stax Bowers in 2023. Even more striking is the red designation. PCGS records an $18,000 auction result for a 1950-60 D graded MS67 plus RD at Heritage Auctions on December 18, 2022. That documented result shows why condition can transform the conversation around this old 1-cent coin, with exceptional specimens reaching far beyond ordinary circulated values. Imagine finding a 1950-60 D wheat penny that has spent decades protected from heavy circulation, retaining sharp details, attractive original-looking copper color, and clean surfaces. That is where the collector excitement can rise quickly. The difference between a circulated coin and a top-quality certified specimen can be enormous, and this is why collectors carefully study every detail before deciding what a coin might be worth. A coin showing strong wheat lines, clear lettering, a well-defined Lincoln portrait, a sharp date, and a distinct D mint mark can become an appealing candidate for professional evaluation. If the coin also shows an unusual mint mark variety or reaches an outstanding certified grade, its potential collector interest can increase substantially. The documented $18,000 auction result for an MS67 plus RD 1950-60 D demonstrates that exceptional examples have already achieved serious prices in the marketplace. So if you have a 1950-60 D Lincoln Wheat Penny in your collection, do not overlook it simply because it is only a 1-cent coin. Take a close look at the date, the Denver D, Lincoln's portrait, the wheat reverse, the surface quality, and especially the coin's color and overall preservation. Compare it with recognized varieties, and consider professional authentication and grading if the coin appears unusually sharp and attractive. The 1950-60 D is an important late-era wheat penny, and its collector story becomes especially exciting at the highest levels of preservation. While not every 1950-60 D will command hundreds or thousands of dollars, the market evidence proves that exceptional certified examples can bring substantial sums, with the strongest documented result reaching $18,000. That is what makes the hunt so exciting. A small copper coin from 1956 can carry decades of American history distinctive collector features, and when the right combination of grade, color, variety, and demand comes together, the possibility of becoming a highly desirable numismatic treasure. Market values can change with grade, certification, color designation, variety, authenticity, and auction demand, so always verify the latest professional price guides and completed auction results before making a buying or selling decision. Thanks for watching.